Hi, everybody, and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Laura.
And we're on day 2 of our story for this month, The Most Dangerous Game. So the main character in our story so far is Rainsford, who is a hunter and a World War I veteran.
And there, one night, as he's traveling by ship to Brazil, he discusses whether hunted animals feel pain. And he has his companion Whitney, right? He's discussing this with Whitney.
Yeah, Rainsford divides the world into the hunters and the hunted. Either you hunt things or things hunt you.
Ooh, and then he hears a gunshot from a distant island.
Leaning over the edge of the ship to find out what happened, he loses his balance and falls into the water.
No, Rainsford swims to shore and walks through the jungle to find a Gothic mansion.
What on earth is going on in this jungle? Who owns the house? Why is this story called The Most Dangerous Game? We're going to find out the answers to all these questions as we read through day 2.
Reading.
The Most Dangerous Game. The door is answered by Ivan, a deaf servant who can't speak, and the island's owner, General Zaroff. He's a nobleman who escaped Russia after the revolution. He's read one of Rainsford's hunting books. In a hall with mounted animal heads, Zaroff explains that he had become bored with hunting. It was no longer a challenge to kill any animal. So, he had to hunt a new kind of prey, one that could reason. After a bit more conversation, Rainsford realizes that Zaroff hunts sailors that land on the island. Zaroff gives them supplies and a 3-hour head start. If the prey can survive for 3 days, Zaroff lets them go. So far, no prey has won this dangerous game. Rainsford considers this murder and won't participate. Zaroff says that like all his victims, Rainsford has a choice of playing the game or being whipped by Ivan. Rainsford agrees to play and heads out into the jungle. Trying not to panic, he creates a trail that is difficult to track and lies motionless in a tree, hidden by leaves. Even in the dark, Zaroff tracks him. However, like a cat playing with a mouse, he saves Rainsford for another day's sport.
So day 2 starts by saying the door, meaning the door of the mansion, the door is answered by Ivan, a deaf servant who can't speak, and the island's owner, General Zaroff.
OK， 所以呢，还记不记得哥德式的豪宅？那可能去敲门，那这时候有一个叫做 Ivan，OK， 他是一位聋哑的仆人，是不会说话的，他去应门。那另外一个可能站在他的旁边也来应门的人是谁呢？是岛主 Zaroff 将军哦，这里我们提到的 general， 它就是将军的意思。那写作军阶的时候，通常我们要用大写 G，a big letter G.
So you can say Ivan for this name, but I think in Russian, Ivan is more how you pronounce it. And Russian is important here as we find out he, meaning Zaroff, he's a nobleman who escaped Russia after the revolution. A nobleman is a wealthy landowner, usually with some kind of political or family connection to the rulers of a country. Back in the old days, these were the people who'd own large areas of land and have lots of people who worked for them and, would lead armies in battle and that kind of thing.
OK， 我们来看一下哦，关于这个 General Zaroff， 这个 Zaroff 将军，他是个 nobleman， 是什么呢？就是一个贵族哦，这是一个名词哦，而且他在革命后离开了俄罗斯 ，and that's a difficult word, revolution. What does it mean?
Well, a revolution in this case usually means a political one. It's when the rulers of a country or state or the government of that country or state, they are thrown out in favor of a completely new system. They get rid of all the old rulers and bring in some new ones. This was often done to kind of get rid of the old system of kings and queens and start something more democratic. The Russian Revolution happened toward the end of World War I. The Tsars were kicked out and a government of the people was formed. Here's another example and another example sentence. During the French Revolution, the king, the queen, and many other nobles were killed.
Revolution 在本课有革命的意思，它是一个名词哦，像是 The Russian Revolution 就是1917年的俄国的革命。那平常它也有就是改革的意思。So for example, the role of women has changed since the revolution. 那 Russia 刚刚课文也有提到，指的就是俄罗斯。
So Zaroff actually welcomes Rainsford in and we learn Zaroff, he's read one of Rainsford's hunting books.
Wow, 所以 Zaroff 将军他其实有读过 Rainsford 其中一本关于狩猎的书哦。That's good to know.
So Zaroff is a hunter as well, and we see this in the next sentence. In a hall with mounted animal heads, Zaroff explains that he had become bored with hunting. So this hall they're in the mansion, there's mounted animal heads. If something is mounted, we're generally talking about something that's used as a display. It's put on a board or in a glass case. It's sometimes, if it's an animal, you would stuff it and preserve it. And with big animals, it's just the heads. You think of pictures of old castles and stuff with a big head of a bear or a wolf or something on a big shield up on the wall.
I think those look scary, and I only see them in movies. OK, 所以在一个镶嵌着动物头的走廊哦，这里提到的 mounted 就是镶嵌的或是表贴的意思，它是一个形容词。那在走着这个走廊呢 ，Zaroff 就解释他已经对于这个打猎感到厌倦了。
Yeah, he'd become bored with hunting all these animals that the heads of which were around the room. But why? Well, the article says it was no longer a challenge to kill any animal, so he had to hunt a new kind of prey, one that could reason. So the word prey means something that is hunted by another animal or a person. And reason is the ability to think, to understand something and figure out answers to problems.
I don't like the sound of that. OK, 所以他觉得杀动物已经不再是个挑战哦，所以呢，他得猎新的猎物。那是什么样的猎物呢？可以思考的猎物哦。怎么听起来越来越残忍啊？这里提到的 prey 这个名词就是猎物，而 reason 注意哦，它这里是当作动词来用，有着思考或者是推理的意思。
So the article then says, after a bit more conversation, Rainsford realizes that Zaroff hunts sailors that land on the island.
在谈了一下之后 Rainsford 发现呢 Zaroff 是在猎来到岛上的水手 I knew he was after humans.
Yeah, so it kind of means that humans are the most dangerous kind of game or prey because they are able to think and come up with clever plans rather than just run away. So Zaroff, he tries to treat this as a game, like a fun game. We learn that Zaroff gives them supplies and a 3-hour head start. So he says, here's your food, here's some other items, and you've got 3 hours to run off and hide before I come after you. It's like the worst game of hide and seek ever.
I know. Or it's like the Hunger Games, okay? 所以 Zaroff 给他们一些 supplies。supplies 指的就是生活必需品或是日常用品。那通常我们是当做复数型使用。还有呢，他会给他3个小时的A 3-hour head start， 名词片语 head start 指的就是竞赛中先起步的优势，所以他的意思就是说，好，你们可以赶快去躲起来啊，但是接下来他就可能要来打死他们或是狩猎他们哦。That sounds super scary.
Yeah, but there is a way out. The article explains if the prey can survive for 3 days, Zaroff lets them go.Oh,
okay. 所以如果猎物可以生存3天 Zaroff 就会放他们走诶。
However, we read next that so far, no prey has won this dangerous game.
So there's no way out, okay? 因为目前没有人赢得这个危险的游戏，也就是说they all got killed.
So Rainsford, of course, is a hunter. He's been in the First World War, so he's got some skills when it comes to here. And it's pretty obvious at this point that Zaroff wants Rainsford to play this game with him. However, we see in the article, Rainsford considers this murder.And won't participate. He says, this isn't hunting. This is just illegal killing. That's what murder is. It's illegal and criminal killing. You're not trying to protect yourself. It's not in a war where you're fighting another country or trying to defend your own country. This is murder when somebody kills somebody else for money, out of anger, out of jealousy, something like that.Here's an example sentence. The man was arrested for the murder of his rich wife and trying to pretend it was an accident.
OK. 所以我们回到课文提到就是 Rainsford 他觉得这样根本不是游戏，是什么呢？是 murder， 就是谋杀，所以他不想要参加。Murder 其实就是谋杀的意思，那我们通常会用 commit.A murder, that just means to kill somebody, to murder someone. OK, 那或者呢，我们还可以提到 murder weapon, 凶器。我们来听一下这个例句。The police couldn't find the murder weapon and figure out how the woman was killed.
So, you might think, well, if this is the case, all these sailors and then people like Rainsford, why don't they just say to Zaroff,No, I'm not
I don't want to
play. I'm out. Don't include me. But the article answers that question. We see Zaroff says that, like all his victims, Rainsford has a choice of playing the game or being whipped by Ivan.
Okay.
So, yeah, either join me in this crazy hunt game, or my giant servant is going to cause you a lot of pain.So Zaroff has described a lot of these people, or at least that's how they're described in the article, as victims. Victims are people who suffer. They could be suffering in an accident, victims of a car crash. They could be victims of an illness, or they could be victims because of something nasty somebody is doing, which is the case with the article here.Here's another example of the same kind. The police are trying to stop the killer before he finds another victim.
I think they basically have no choice. It's
Not
like
really.
Get whipped or play, okay? 所以 Zaroff 呢就说，就如同他所有的受害者啊，Rainsford， 你只能选择玩游戏，或者是被 Ivan 或者 Ivan 鞭打哦。我们首先先来看看 victim 这个字，它是个名词，就是受害者。举例像是 victims of crime 就是指犯罪的受害者，又或者我们来听一下这个例句 The poor girl is a victim of child abuse.
So you can either play this game or Ivan will whip you. The word whip here is being used as a verb, and it means to strike with usually a whip, which is the noun. A whip as a noun is a long, tough cord. It's almost like a piece of rope, but tougher, slightly sharper at one end, made of leather. If you've seen the Indiana Jones movies, Indiana Jones uses a whip to jump over things and, keep back animals, that sort of thing. And to whip somebody is to hit them with this thing, or a rope, or something else that's kind of long. You could whip somebody with a belt. You shouldn't, but that's certainly what it means. You might see this example sentence talking about older times. The bad man whipped his animals to make them move faster.
OK, 我们来看一下 whip 这个字就是有鞭打的意思，它是一个动词在本课的用法。I hate seeing animals such as horses being whipped.
Yeah, it is very cruel. So Rainsford doesn't really feel like being whipped by Ivan, so we see in the article, Rainsford agrees to play and heads out into the jungle.I
guess they all don't really have any choices but to play, huh? 所以 Rainsford 同意说，好吧，那我就参加这个游戏，我就玩吧，并且前往这个丛林。这里 heads out into the jungle, head 是当作动词来用就是前往的意思。
So, this is a pretty bad situation, but remember, Rainsford is an expert hunter. He's survived World War I, so it's not like he's just a normal person out here in the jungle, and he tries to do the right thing to survive. The article says, trying not to panic, he creates a trail that is difficult to track and lies motionless in a tree, hidden by leaves. So the first thing he tells himself is, don't panic.To panic means to lose control due to your fears, due to your worries. You stop reacting sensibly and just kind of run around going, oh my goodness, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And that's not helpful. You don't want to panic when something bad happens. You want to try to stay calm. For example, in this sentence we have, when he saw a fire in the kitchen, Larry didn't panic. He found a way to put it out.Oh,
thank God. OK, 所以回到课文我们提到的就是到底他要怎么样生存在这个游戏，所以他尽可能不要恐慌或是很慌张，那他制造了一个难以追踪的足迹，然后完全动也不动的躺在树丛当中，树里面。OK, 首先我们来看一下刚刚有提到这个动词就是 panic, 就是感到恐慌啊，或是惊慌失措。我们来看一下它的动词三态的变化是 panic, panicked, P-A-N-I-C-K-E-D, panicked.Okay, and we also saw the word trail.
Yeah, Rainsford is trying either to create no trail at all or at least one that's difficult to track. Because a trail is a path that people or animals or machines make as they go through the countryside. Plants will be pushed over, grass will be trodden on, branches of trees broken. That would create a trail. So Rainsford's trying to move in a way that his trail, because everyone will leave something, even if it's just with their smell, but it's difficult to track, so Zaroff can't follow him and see, oh, he obviously went that way, there's broken branches and leaves fallen off and things like that. So he's first trying to escape to make sure Zaroff can't find his trail. Here's another sentence we can use. The group of elephants left a large trail through the thick jungle.Because they're very big animals.
I love elephants. OK, 我们回到课文提到的 trail, OK, 这个字刚刚有提到，就是痕迹、足迹、踪迹的意思。OK, 举例来说，如果呢你在山呢，你有去走路的话 ，a mountain trail 就是山间的小道，可以让你去走的OK, 那我们现在来看一下，刚刚有提到 he lies motionless in a tree。这里我们要看一下就是主词，然后接像是 lie 或者是其他的动词，待会我可以举一些例子。后面接形容词或者是动词 ing 或者是 pp。所以这个句型当中的连缀动词后面我们是不接受词的但是呢需要接对主词加以说明的主词补语，才可以表达完整的语义。 那主词补语可以是分词或是形容词，刚刚我有提到哦。那除了常见表感觉的连缀动词，像是 look, feel, taste 等等，还有以下常见的连缀动词类。如果要表示处在什么样的状态呢，就是课文的，像是 lie 或者是 stand or sit。举例来说 ，She lay flat on the floor。这是表示状态。那如果要表示变得如何如何，我们可以用 go 这个动词。举例来说 ，The boy went mad when the toy was broken。OK， 或者呢，我们来看一下，还可以表示保持仍然的动词有哪些，像是 keep、remain or stay。For example, let's remain silent so she won't find us. Sounds like they're playing hide and seek.
Yeah, as is Rainsford, but it's not working so well. We see even in the dark, Zaroff tracks him.
所以即使在黑暗当中 Zaroff 还是追踪的他耶。
But then the article says, however, like a cat playing with a mouse, he saves Rainsford for another day's sport. So he finds him, basically. He kind of knows where he is, but he says, this is fun. This is good. You nearly escaped from me. I like this game. Let's keep playing. Remember, if Rainsford can make it through 3 days, he'll be allowed to leave the island. But it looks like Zaroff really is good at hunting.
所以然而就像是猫捉老鼠哦 He saves Rainsford for another day's sport. Save 其实本身有保存保留的意思，不过呢 save something for something else 就是为了某个目的将某个东西留下。那后面的 sport 指的就是可能是用在娱乐的事情或是玩笑，所以整句话是说 Zaroff 为了可以多打一天猎而让 Rainsford 免于一死。That sounds like he's enjoying his cruel game.
Exactly. Well, we'll find out if Rainsford can escape tomorrow, but right now we're going to go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
Our question today is, what would you do if you had to survive in the jungle for 3 days?
That sounds super hard for me. I think, first of all, I don't think I can even survive in the wild, not to mention a jungle, because there are also other scary animals in the jungle, right? So, yeah, basically find a place that I could hide myself. Maybe kind of like dig a kind of a small hole or something and hide in it. I have no idea.
That could work. Okay, I'll give you a few things. Cover yourself head to toe in mud.
Oh, okay. So I can camouflage myself a little bit.
Yeah, it's camouflage. It will keep you cool. It will stop insects from biting your skin. And it will hide your smell from any animals that might hunt you.
And it sounds like I'm doing like a mud kind of like mask.
Yeah, and maybe it'll be good for your skin.
Yeah.
For 3, you can survive without food just about for 3 days, but
Really?
not without water. So making sure you've got water is a good thing.
True.
Sleeping up a tree is usually a good idea. It's worse down on the ground than up a tree. And you want to try and find a high place if possible so you can look around and see where you could get out of that jungle. So,
and look who's chasing after you
exactly.
from above.
So there's a few tips that might help if you ever get lost in a jungle. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you. It has happened to Rainsford, though. Will he make it out alive? Join us tomorrow to find out. Bye for now.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review. Revolution. Because of the revolution, the president of the country had to leave his position. Murder. No one wanted to buy the house after a murder took place there. They thought the house would bring bad luck. Victim. Many people are sending money to the victims who lost their homes and families in the big earthquake. Whip. In Singapore, thieves can be whipped with a stick as a punishment for their crimes. Panic. I started to panic when I found that my cat wasn't anywhere in the house. Trail. Ants collect food by following a trail of chemicals left by other ants.
智慧小补帖
Nobleman. Mounted. Prey.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net